Much has been printed over the past 15 years in professional literature about the ability of effective teams to provide a high-quality education for all students. Ensuring that all students learn at high levels requires all of us working together, and high-functioning teams extend the capacity of our teachers to meet the learning needs of all students. We accomplish this through teacher learning and collaborative teams that are using research-based strategies in scheduled, focused, and uninterrupted time to work on the work. We focus on what to teach, how to teach it, how to meet individual student needs, and how to be confident that these strategies are working for all learners. We began in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools looking at professional learning communities at about 2004. Principals were doing some book studies and listening to some videos. They had some speakers come in, and they also studied some books like The Learning Organization, Professional Learning Communities at Work, and 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. During that time also, Dr. Zwadek was introduced by Kathy Jordan to the single school culture model. She gathered some principal volunteers and went to Palm Beach to see what this was all about. They observed some team meetings, they liked what they saw, and in 2008 we entered into a partnership with Palm Beach. We began with 10 schools in the fall of 2008 using the single school culture model. We also began that same fall with 4 high schools using the Keep Learning on Track model that was introduced to our district by Dr. Zwadek and Dr. Marty Ward. This model used collaborative teams and formative assessment practices to impact student achievement. In 2009, the district decided to go with the DeFore model of PLCs for all other schools, which meant that all schools would be participating in one of 3 PLC models. By 2013-14, we were using 2 models. Based on recommendations from the principals and recommendations from a district report, it was decided that we could blend the models and get all of us on the same page for using collaborative teams to impact student achievement. When we started looking at how to blend the 2 models into one, we wanted to use what was working for us in each model. So we looked at the PLC and the single school culture, and we pulled out those pieces that we knew were helping us to get results. Please locate the handout in your packet, Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Collaborative Teams Models, to see all the commonalities. The commonalities are still essential practices of our new model. We're using the 3 framing questions, the use of structured conversation processes, the use of designated trained facilitators, as well as trained teacher facilitators, and we want to have dedicated, protected time for our teachers to do this work. You should have a copy of the graphic of this model. The model includes 5 main components: sustainability structures, framing questions, activity types that define the scope of the work, the model specifics, and foundational core beliefs. In order for us to understand the model, we're going to do a little unpacking. Individually, review the components of the model, reflecting on the questions in the Advanced Organizer on page 4. Then share your thoughts with your table partner. We're going to look at the sustainability structures, the 3 framing questions, the activity types, and the foundational core beliefs. We'll look at model specifics in a few minutes. Please pause the session for 5 minutes for unpacking the model.
Now that you have discussed the sustainability structures, the framing questions, the activity types, and the foundational core beliefs, let's look at the model specifics. Advisory groups at each division level made recommendations for many of the model specifics, including the following. Elementary PLTs will meet weekly or on a 6-day rotation for 45 to 90 minutes. Middle school PLTs will meet weekly for 45 to 60 minutes. And high school PLTs will meet weekly for 45 to 60 minutes. These recommendations provide the minimum amount of time needed to focus on student learning at each level. Please locate the Processes for Professional Learning Teams handout. These research-based PLT processes are used to help guide conversations and focus our efforts on essential work that can improve instruction and learning for our students. Through these processes, we are identifying our students' learning needs, looking at what the data about learning is saying to us as a team, clarifying common standards, creating rigorous and relevant assignments to engage students, understanding the content that comes before us and after us, looking at student work, and screening the assignments that we ask students to do. Because, as quoted in Education Trust, students can do no better than the assignments they are given and the instruction they receive. For the next activity, please read the purpose and outcome for each PLT process. Then, as a team, discuss and record your responses to the 2 team reflection questions on page 5 of the Advanced Organizer. Please pause the video for 5 minutes for this discussion. Please take a moment to silently read and reflect on the quote displayed. Professional development is critical to our success as teachers, learners, and teams. District training for some teacher facilitators, all curriculum coordinators, and administrators was provided this summer in utilizing this model. As we move throughout the year, ongoing support and training for facilitators will be provided by the PLT coaches for each school. There are many ways to organize collaborative teams. They may band together for one purpose or period of time and reorganize based on another purpose or need. For most schools, professional learning teams will be configured in one of 3 ways. One team configuration may involve content, grade, subject, or job-specific teams with common standards and accountability for student learning. Another configuration could include vertical teams who share common standards or practices, such as standards for mathematical practice, literacy standards, technology standards, graduation rate, etc. A third example could include interdisciplinary teams who work towards improving student achievement based on a common goal, often centered around pedagogical practices that impact student learning. Vertical teams often share a set of commonalities based on the subject area or students that they teach. This graphic demonstrates an example of a middle school vertical team. This graphic demonstrates an example of a high school interdisciplinary team. If your school is an elementary or middle school, what types of interdisciplinary teams do you have in your school? Effectiveness indicators can mean different things to different people and can be used for many purposes. Principal advisory groups and others have been discussing what look-fors would be appropriate for learning teams and what evidence we will use to help us know if our teams are being effective. This will be an ongoing process this year as we implement this model consistently across our district.
How can using this model as our framework for collaborative teams increase our abilities to impact student learning? The following discussion will allow you to reflect on how this model can fit within the way your team currently works. Please locate the PLT Model Feedback section in your Advanced Organizer on page 5. In a moment, you will discuss each question with your team. Choose a recorder for your team. This person will record 2 of your team's responses to each question on sticky notes. After your discussion, have one team member post your sticky notes on the appropriate chart paper in the room. Please pause this video for 8 minutes to provide time for teams to work. When the activity is complete, select Session 9 to continue.